Rick would basically say to everybody in the room, y'all better freaking figure it out.
Fix it or else. Those are not the words of a screaming, furious team owner. They are the quiet, controlled message that Rick Hendrick delivers when Hendrick Motorsports falls into a slump. And according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., when that message comes, the entire organization transforms overnight. With the chase just weeks away and NASCAR's greatest dynasty looking shockingly ordinary, that message may be echoing through the shop right now. Because make no mistake, this is not the Hendrick Motorsports anyone expected to see in 2026. This is a four-car super team built to dominate every single weekend, and right now, the entire highlight reel fits in one sentence. 2 wins. Both of them belong to Chase Elliott, one at Martinsville Speedway and one at Texas. That is it. That is the full resume heading into the biggest stretch of the season. And when you go car by car, the picture gets even more uncomfortable. Start with Kyle Larson, the reigning Cup Series champion. Larson is currently riding a 39-race winless streak. He has not won a single points-paying race during the entire Fox portion of the season, and his most recent low point came at Watkins Glen International, where he led the team with a 23rd place finish. His average finish of 17.3 is his worst since 2015, and it sits a series worst 8 positions below his average starting spot. Yes, he is second in the series in laps led, but the majority of those laps came at Bristol Motor Speedway, and analysts have pointed out that if Ryan Blaney had anything close to an average pit crew that day, Larson's number would look far less impressive. Then there is William Byron, a driver who has won multiple races in 4 straight years and who reached each of the final 3 championship 4s of the previous playoff era. In 2026, Byron sits 12th in the standings, just 32 points above the cut line, fighting every single week just to crack the top 10. Here is the stat that stings the most. Byron has led fewer laps this season than Corey Heim, a part-time driver who has made just 3 starts all year in a non-chartered 4th Toyota for 23X1 Racing. Byron's average starting position and average finishing position are his worst since 2020. And he is on pace to lead fewer laps than in any season since his rookie year. Alex Bowman missed 4 races earlier this season with a bout of vertigo, and even with recent back-to-back third-place finishes, his points per race average for the year ranks just 28th in the series. Even if he had run all the races at that average, he would still sit 93 points below the cut line. That leaves Chase Elliott as the lone bright spot, sitting comfortably inside the top 5 in points. But even his season comes with an asterisk. His win at Martinsville Speedway came down to pure pit strategy from crew chief Alan Gustafson, a gutsy 2-stop call in the final stage, after Elliott failed to score a single stage point that day. Elliott is thriving because he knows how to take care of his equipment and maximize what he has, not because Hendrick Motorsports is bringing the fastest cars to the racetrack. Now here is the number that should embarrass everyone inside that building. Hendrick Motorsports has been matched in wins this season by Spire Motorsports, their own satellite partner. And with Carson Halkavar and Daniel Suarez sitting 7th and 9th in the purely results-based standings, it is not a stretch to say Spire Motorsports currently looks like the top Chevrolet team in NASCAR. This is a team with 1 total win over the past 6.5 years. Meanwhile, Toyota is dominating the season behind Tyler Reddick and his 5 victories, and Team Penske has passed Hendrick Motorsports in the win column as well. Trackhouse Racing has matched them too, thanks to Shane Van Gisbergen and his road course mastery. So with the pressure building and the chase closing in, the question everyone wants answered is simple. What is actually happening behind closed doors at Hendrick Motorsports right now? And that is exactly the question Dale Earnhardt Jr. answered this week on the Dale Jr. Download podcast. Understand who is talking here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. spent a full decade driving for Rick Hendrick. His company, JR Motorsports, remains a technical partner of Hendrick Motorsports to this day. Very few people outside that shop understand the internal culture better than he does. And his headline message might surprise you, so he is not worried at all. I've been with HMS when they sort of get into these ruts or these little phases, Earnhardt Jr. said. I'm not concerned because what happens is they'll have a competition meeting, which they'll have one this week. They'll have one every week. Those weekly competition meetings are the heartbeat of the organization. Rick Hendrick sits in a lot of them, and Jeff Gordon, now the vice chairman and a part owner, is in that room as well. Most weeks they are routine, but when the results stop coming, everything about those meetings changes. But man, when they're not doing what they want to be doing, those meetings will get really fucking serious, Earnhardt Junior explained. And Rick would basically say to everybody in the room, y'all better freaking figure it out. And here's the part that makes it land. Rick Hendrick is not a screamer. He does not blow up over one bad Sunday. That is exactly why the moments when he does turn stern carry so much weight inside that building. It's pretty damn serious. Rick rarely ever gets stern, but when he does, it gets your attention because you don't see it often. And you know that he means fix it or else, or there's going to be some consequences, Earnhardt Jr. said. There is even a specific signal that everyone at Hendrick Motorsports has learned to read. It is not the volume of Rick Hendrick's voice, it is the order in which he speaks. When you go into the competition meeting and Rick talked first, you knew talking about last week's race wasn't the most fucking important thing on the table that day, Earnhardt Jr. recalled. When the boss opens the meeting, the past is off the table. The only conversation that matters is a solution. And Earnhardt Jr. added a fascinating new wrinkle to that dynamic. Jeff Gordon. He admitted he never experienced Gordon as a part owner in those rooms during his own driving career, but he believes the four-time champion carries the exact same weight today. I would probably imagine that Jeff can carry that similar weight when things need to get better, he said before adding, I wouldn't want to get on Jeff Gordon's bad side either. So what actually happens after one of those meetings ends? This is where Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulled back the curtain the furthest, describing a dynamic that explains why this organization has climbed out of every hole it has ever fallen into. When everybody hears that, they're all tasked with finding solutions, Earnhardt Jr. said. They leave the room, they go off to their part of the business, and they dial up the freaking effort. The engine shop starts hunting for more horsepower. The engineers dig deeper into the setup data. The aerodynamic department searches for gains anywhere it can find them. And every single department shares one motivation: being the group that walks back to Rick Hendrick with the answer. Everybody wants to be the one that runs back to Rick with the token, Earnhardt Jr. explained. They want to go, hey, you said work. We worked. We found 3 horsepower. And when every department brings a little something back to the table, he says, you see it show up at the racetrack. The results start happening. Step back and look at what that really is. It is not panic, it is structure. Rick Hendrick's leadership is built around forward motion. The moment a race ends badly, the conversation shifts immediately to next weekend. In a sport where the next race is always 7 days away, that psychological reset is a genuine competitive advantage, and it turns urgency into fuel instead of letting it curdle into fear. But pressure alone does not fix a race car, and the root cause of this slump is very specific. Chevrolet introduced a redesigned Camaro ZL1 body for the 2026 season, styled after the brand's carbon performance package with a larger hood power dome, a revised front grille, and more pronounced rocker panels. Every Chevrolet team had to adapt to it, and Hendrick Motorsports has openly admitted the adjustment has been a struggle. Team president Jeff Andrews acknowledged after the Martinsville Speedway win that adapting to the new body was part of the problem, saying there was still a lot of work left to do. The practical consequence is balance. Keeping the car stable across a long green flag run, which is the difference between a car that stays consistent for 400 miles and one that fades the moment the tires wear. Kevin Harvick and other voices in the media have flagged the same diagnosis all season long, and history says this pattern is not new. The last time Chevrolet introduced a new body in 2018, Hendrick Motorsports suffered its slowest start in years. And it was Chase Elliott who carried the team that season too, accounting for all 3 of its victories, the first 3 wins of his career. But if you want to understand why Dale Earnhardt Jr. refuses to panic, look no further than 2025. Last year, Hendrick Motorsports endured one of its toughest mid-season slumps in recent memory. The response was pure Hendrick. The organization reshuffled personnel, reorganized its pit crews, and leaned on its depth to identify weaknesses and attack them. Performance climbed steadily through the second half of the season, and it ended with Kyle Larson and the number 5 team hoisting the Cup Series championship trophy at Phoenix Raceway. That is the blueprint. The roster is not the biggest asset at Hendrick Motorsports. The organization built to respond is. Still, there are real reasons this approach could fail in 2026, and they deserve to be said out loud. The first risk is the diagnosis itself. If Hendrick Motorsports has genuinely misjudged how to build and set up cars around this new Chevrolet package, then throwing more resources at the wrong problem fixes nothing. It just burns time the team does not have before the chase field locks in. The second risk is human. When an owner with Rick Hendrick's reputation sets that tone, it can light a fire, but it can also tighten shoulders. Crew chiefs and engineers under that kind of pressure can overcorrect, chasing changes that look good on paper but destroy the balance their drivers spent all season building. And the third risk is the calendar. The new chase format, the top 16 drivers in points advancing to a 10-race championship battle, is brutal and unforgiving. There is no winning in Lifeline anymore. There is no more time to slow play anything. Which brings us to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s actual prescription for each driver. For Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, the championship is still absolutely alive. Chase and Larson, they are in a position to think championship, he said. The assignment is survival. Bank the points, avoid disaster, and let the company find speed. They just don't need to have that one bad race. They need to get what they can get while the company's trying to find more speed. Just don't stub your toe and wait. For William Byron, the message was more sobering. I don't know that Byron is in a position to even worry about a championship this year, Earnhardt Jr. admitted, saying the 24 team simply needs to get better and build momentum. And there is a genuine irony buried in all of this. Jeff Gordon spent the offseason praising the return of the consistency-based chase format as a perfect fit for Hendrick Motorsports, and right now, consistency is exactly the thing exposing them. So here's where the story goes from here, and there are only two paths. In the best case, 2025 repeats itself. The urgency Rick Hendrick creates in that meeting room pushes the competition department into overdrive. The balance problems with the new Chevrolet body get solved, and Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson rides that momentum into a legitimate title run. Another chapter in the Hendrick comeback legend. In the worst case, the adjustments arrive too late. The cars are still fighting balance issues when the playoff races begin, and a 4-car powerhouse watches the championship battle from the outside for the first time in years. The pressure system Dale Earnhardt Jr. described is real and it is proven, but it only works if the diagnosis is right. So the question now belongs to you. Is Rick Hendrick's quiet pressure exactly what this organization needs to turn the season around, or is 2026 finally the year the cracks are too deep to patch in time? Best case or worst case? Drop your prediction in the comments below.